Okay, I don't know if I'm videoing or not. Hi. Yeah, it looks like I am. And no, of course I'm not going to edit that out. So what is this? Someone wrote to me on YouTube with a bunch of questions about what I like, what my best games are. I get a lot of things sometimes from people, hey, you should do a top 10 or whatever. Usually they're too much work for me to bother with, because really, in the end, the answer is, geez, I got a top 10 list over on BGG. There's my top 10 right there. I've got my ratings. There you got my opinion, much better considered than I can give on a video. Years of distilled information is in that. And you can look to that and see what you want to think. Of course, what they're really asking probably is more information than I'd give on such a list, but it seems kind of unfair. So I'm going to look over some of these and try to answer what I can. I've got to make it bigger because my poor eyes can't read off the screen very well. All right, so the first one. What game do you think, this is why it was interesting, because this is things I can answer. What game do I think I have played the most overall? All right, so that's really tough. Bridge is up there, poker, oh hell. I played a lot of Go, but honestly, I think probably the game that I've played the very, very most is Starfleet Battles. If you don't look at the times that I've played campaign games of it, a campaign game of Fed and Amp, if you count each scenario as its own game, I think I've played it the most times. What game have I spent the most time playing? Yeah, again, Starfleet Battles is certainly going to have that, because I did those ridiculous attempts to play out Fed and Amp or Fed Space using Starfleet Battles for the battles. I also played a lot of it just with people. Alternatively, though, well, I played a whole lot of Rollmaster too, if we want to include role-playing games there. What game do I think I can play the most right now? Okay, again, I don't know what most is. I don't know if they mean most times or longest. It's the same kind of counting. I have that same desire to play SFB within that grand campaign. So I could do that again. I don't have it with me though, so it's kind of excluded. It's basically 2 tubs worth of stuff that I'd have to ship up here, and for something that amounted to 1 game, that seemed too much for me right now. So what could I play the most now? I don't know. In the last, before I came back to gaming, La Révolution Française was the game that I'd play and say, I gotta play this again. Of course, time-wise, probably Le Grand Guerre. But right now, oh boy, I don't know. Whichever one has the most scenarios. So fighting, flying colors is definitely up there, and that's why I don't want to play it, because if I play it, I've got, 70 scenarios to do. I don't want to do that. I really don't. Likewise, Ambush, I'm going to do all the scenarios for that. So that's going to be a big, meaty thing. So what do I think I play the most right now? Oh, well, that's easy. The thing I played the most in the last couple of years is SPQR, but I'm done with that, right? I'm not going to go back to that except for the scenarios that I didn't hit that I've picked up since then. So, what do I play the most now? Whatever I'm playing at the moment, I play a game and I put it on the shelf largely. As to things that my wife and I might get hooked on, she and I enjoyed playing a few games of Carcassonne. We're kind of out of that now, but we were in a little period where we played maybe 4 or 5 games of that. We played maybe 2 or 3 games of Brass. But my tendency is very much move on. You played a game, move on. It's time to play another one. In 2 years, you can get back to it. It used to be once a year. Now it's really every other year at the most. What game has given me the most enjoyment out of everything I've owned, I've played? I don't know. I mean, enjoyment? What the hell? I enjoy Go in a very different way than I enjoy 1830, in a very different way than I enjoy SFB or enjoy Le Grand Guerre. I really don't know. I mean, it doesn't even really make sense to me, in the sense that there are games that I come back to again and again. Do I have a favorite gaming system or series? No, not a single one. I've got eras that I like. So far, the best American Civil War tacticals games that I've seen are the Civil War Brigade series. I really like them. I don't know. I'd be fine without them, though, because I have the old Berg Great Battles of the American Civil War. I'm not sure about the new ones, which I also have one of. Maybe more than one, because I think Risorgimento or whatever is essentially one. But it's very, very, very difficult for me to make these kind of qualitative decisions out of some set. Do I have a favorite system or series? I like that one. I like the Napoleonic Brigade series better, because I like Napoleonic battles. I respect the Napoleonic battles more. Civil War is just grind your infantry together. You have one arm that really owns the game. Artillery is important as to placement and everything, but it has lost so much importance over its Napoleonic era factor. So, however, I may enjoy playing the simpler game more. I just don't respect it as much. But if it was going to be my favorite, it would have to be respecting. I mean, I have a single favorite game. That's by default Go, because it's pretty damn close to perfect. But going to a system or series is really, really rough for me. Now, I would kind of like to say I really like the GBOH stuff, but it's not a system or series. It's a brand name, as far as I can tell. It's too different. Same with Standard Combat Series. It's a brand name. I could say I like traditional SPI hex and counter games, and they would have about as much in common. Your sort of quad game type things, minus, of course, Art of Siege. But it's really tough for me to answer these, and this is why I don't do a game video where I pull out, these are my top 10. It's tough, and I think the people who do it have a tough job, because when they put them out there, well, people are going to say, oh, what about this? I mean, I looked at Tom Vassell and company, the Dice Tower. 3 of them have been doing top 10s of all kind of things. And they did the top 10 pre-1993, and what a disappointment that list was for me to watch. But I feel like they don't know. First of all, they don't know the wargaming stuff. I'm not sure how they could walk away from some of it, but some things like 18XX, I know none of them like. So you can understand why that wouldn't be there. But Civilization being missing, that was a seminal game, So I'd rather not do this. Do the top 10 lists. I can do this chat because nobody will watch, except for a couple hundred of you who seem to like to hear me babble. Okay, so let's keep going here, because that's a really tough one. Are there any games I wish I could get to play more? But yeah, all of them. I mean, seriously, every time I open up a game, there's a regret, because there's every other game that I own that I don't get to play because I've taken the moment to play that one. But I like to cycle through them. I'll say this much. Magic the Gathering was not the hit with my current wife that it was with my ex-wife. I miss playing that. That was something, and I can't play it solo. That was something that was a part of my life. pretty much every day play an hour or so of Magic at various times. While cooking or whatever, we'd play a couple hands. That was a nice feeling to my life, and I miss not having that. But I don't think my current wife could handle that much interaction with me. Generally, we don't just throw down a set of cards. Plus, now I'm working. With full-time working, that eats up so much of my time that I too don't want company that much. And I've got the game videos to do, which makes the gaming no longer just, hey, what do I want to do? But I feel this sense of duty, more than to just the games, but also to doing these videos, which kind of eats into my ability to interact with her, which is fine by her, I'm sure, but I think I would like more. And okay, I know that isn't the likely case, but just out of curiosity, if you met someone with identical interest in gaming, but who had been exposed to far less games than you had, what would you say to that person? I wouldn't say anything. I mean, first of all, how do I know? Do I just magically know? I magically know all kinds of things about people, and I never approach them and talk to them about it. When you approach them and talk to them about it, they start calling the cops and stuff. No, there's something in me. I will not approach a person. I will not talk to a person. I mean, it was such a big deal for me when I saw a couple of guys talking on the bus about SFB. When I was most into the game, basically. And it was just such a stretch for me to introduce myself to them and say, I play too. Do you want to get together? And it was so awkward and uncomfortable even going through it. And I ended up meeting a guy who played SFB, and we played a few times and played a few other things, some role-playing and stuff, that it really wasn't worth it. People who talk loudly enough in public that I'll notice it, it's not worth it. Now, on the other hand, what if somebody comes up to me and says, I love all the games that you love, and goes through the list or something, and somehow convinces me of that? What would I say? I'd say, that's cool. I mean, if that's all they give me, I don't know what to do with that. If, on the other hand, they ask me a question, here are the games I really like that you like. What would you recommend? Or what would you this? Or what would you that? But I'm not someone who interacts with other people. I interact with myself. That's why I solo. And someone who likes everything that I like game-wise, there's a pretty good chance they're the same kind of person, and we wouldn't be conversing anyway. There's something I talk about somewhere or another. I don't know, probably in What Is Your Story or whatever, about bridge people. Hoping to see one of them if I can finalize the situation. An old friend of mine, I'm going on a business trip and he'll be nearby. One of these, I've met a few of them in my life. They're these people who they're not the antisocial recluse like I am. They're interesting people. They have really cool ideas and everything, but they're not quite of the same stuff as my kind are. Now, but they're attracted to my kind and end up bridging links between people of my kind. I haven't found one in years, I've only found a couple in my life, to tell you the truth. I found, I think maybe 2 real bridge people, and that was enough to get me through college and the years that I lived in Buffalo until people started drifting away. But before that, I had never met one, and after that, I never met one. And I hope to meet more, but I don't count on it. I count on being alone and not being able... Basically, somebody needs to hunt my kind down and put them together in a room and make us comfortable in a way that... So I get together with other gamers, and I am not comfortable in that way. It doesn't matter the kind of gamer. I was kind of shocked to find when I went to the gaming club locally that these weren't, 50% my kind of folk. There are fairly normal war gamers out there. There might be some. I might have been so hidden, and they might be so hidden. We might all be, although I doubt that, just by the tone of the conversation in some cases. But yeah, I don't know how to make that connection. Now, 2 years ago, a year ago, not this last one, but a year ago at Consim World, I met a guy who I think was one of them, one of these bridge people. And, he just he understood me, but was talkative and able to make that, move without seeming like an asshole. So I was thinking about something. What the hell was it? I saw some people playing Oh Hell at the pool, a whole family. And I'm thinking, if I was one of these bridge people, and not that Oh Hell's anything special, but these guys would go up and they would say, cool, you're playing Oh Hell. And somehow it would work. I would go up there and I'd be like, playing Oh Hell, huh? Or whatever. I know I would come off as a complete fucking idiot, okay? I know that if basically everything that I can picture walking up and saying, if I was on the receiving end of it, I would say, what a fucking jerk. It's not his right to come up to me, but somehow these other people have that ability. And God knows how they do it. But do I wish I was one of them? I don't know. I don't know if they enjoy themselves more. Probably, because I think I probably enjoy myself less than anyone in the world in a lot of ways. I am like the most totally emo candidate person that you can meet. Everything paralyzes me and makes me miserable. Everything. Of course, I can talk about that misery with the games, and it's kind of cool to people. Okay, let's keep going. It's just a bit difficult to get this kind of more personal info through the vast sea. Yeah. Do I have preferences and experience? Yeah. So one thing I'd like to suggest, if you want this kind of thing in a lot of ways, there's my gaming history. There's a whole categories. So I have playlists over on my YouTube account. And that's where the personal and kind of secret stuff ends up showing up. Also, if you search my channel for how to and style, you'll get these kind of things too. So let me look at my YouTube here. And we'll see what we get. All right. So this is kind of the view I get of my channel. I know it's not quite what everybody else gets, but I don't know how YouTube has changed. Here are my playlists. Now there are a lot of them, and some of them are private. For example, random is going to be random crap that I have. This solo rules I canceled out because I was categorizing games that had solo rules and putting them in their own little section. I decided that wasn't very useful, and that's why it's private. I should just delete it. It's totally useless. Okay, so this is a good way to find genres, etc. What I have here is this gameplay babbling. Let's open that up. Wow. And I also have this personal babbling. Okay, personal babbling, this is about me. This is about stuff in my life. And this particular one, so what is my story? This is one that Kev over at the big board asked me a series of questions kind of like this, and I tried to answer them there. A lot of stuff that's got to do with work, business, random stuff, whatever. The gameplay babbling handles, well, I was doing these game designer spotlights, but I kind of stopped. And I did the walkthroughs of history there. But I also did some kind of interesting stuff, babbling about the rules, about Consim, just about a bunch of other stuff. And the point is, kind of, that I guess you can I've tried to categorize my YouTube channel so you can find the kind of stuff that you want to find by the categories. Now, this is tough, but it's probably a lot easier to find things over on Board Game Geek because you can just put up the list of my games, the titles only list of my games, and scan through and say, oh, that one looks interesting. I'd like to see how that plays. But this other stuff doesn't organize too well at Board Game Geek. Some of the gaming stuff has ended up over on sort of a video blog type thing. Joel Eddy suggested I do that. It's hard for me to do that, but this one I may end up linking to there. But for the most part, I think still, even though YouTube's gone to crap, that's the best way to find that kind of stuff. All right, let's see. That's pretty much all that I can say about this. It's easier for me in a lot of senses to do this on video where I'm just chatting and answering it than to type it out. Mainly because, well, maybe other people want to see these answers too. And I know that I've gotten a lot of these questions about what's your favorite, what's your this. It's very hard. I can give you the very simple answer. Yeah, I mean, I can go to my top 10 list and I can tell you, yep, these are them. What do I got? It's over on Board Game Geek. I've got 2 lists there. You can see I got my top 10 and my hot 10. Well, my hot 10 is just a few things. These are basically series that I like. I've got the Civil War Brigade, the Napoleonic Brigade, Great Battles of History as a whole, even though I don't see it as a series, and Musket and Pike. And I wanted to put these here, and I'll put more there if I find more. Here are my top 10 games. Go, traditional card games, and now I go with companies. Because to me, in a lot of ways, I didn't want to try to make that distinguishment. If you really want to see, you just go to my ratings, and you got them right there. I've given 1856 a 10, so it's obviously my top train game, right? Well, maybe not. At the end of 1853, I talked about this, and I'm still not convinced that I want to give this the top rank, but I'm giving it right now, because these do shift around a little bit. Bridge, I love Bridge. Go, obviously. I took the 2 games from Azure Wish that I play the most now. Now, in a sense, EU probably deserves it there, but it's lost a little bit because I've played it so much. There's some factor of how much do I want to play. It never had the same replay. Storyteller game, this is a great, Once Upon a Time, this is a really great game for the type. And poker. And then, if I go back, we can look at the 9s. And this is where you're going to get the information better than anything else. Now, these get a little bit more rich, but the problem is, you're catching a snapshot in time if I'm talking or answering a question. And that doesn't make sense. Whereas with this, you're capturing a snapshot in time, but one that's more considered over multiple plays, etc. So I would actually strongly suggest, if you're really, really interested in that kind of stuff, just look at my ratings. I try to keep them up. They're not based on how much I want to play something very much. There's a tiny, tiny little sliver about that. The fact that La Grande Guerre and La Révolution Française both pushed me longer towards I've got to replay this. Those guys got a 10 from that. Because the games don't deserve 10s. They're not perfect games by any means. They're not even close. They have tremendous, tremendous flaws with the rules and perhaps with with balance. But they're so much fun, and in some senses, the lack of balance probably is why I keep playing them. Because I haven't answered the questions in my head completely about the games. And that addictive nature of bringing me back to that question, that's huge. That makes them better than EU, because I could figure out EU's broken. That was very clear. So yeah, I would suggest if you're really, really interested in what I rank things, just look at my ratings. I've put some effort into them. It's not a trivial thing where I just say, ah, yeah, I really like that game right now, I'll put that there. There is some temporal effect to it. There's no question, for example, Civilization would have been a 10 at one point in my life. Now it's a 9. It was an 8 not all that long ago. You know, they bounce around a little bit. They bounce around based on, have I overplayed it? You know, but there are also some very strong core factors in there. And you're not going to match my tastes exactly. My tastes are weird, you know. I like Monopoly, man. All right, up it goes.